I really didn't see anybody as the leader. Basically, the team and everybody was all in the kid being in the game for a few minutes, and I didn't really see no real leadership going on in that short video.
It's very minimal.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear it.
Carl, I think comes to mind to me the choice effect. We gave the team a choice. So they chose to let him work with the team without it. But you could see that there wasn't any pressure, and the team kind of collaborated and worked with Jason. So the coach gave the team in a whole a choice. That was the process to me. A choice. Okay, he's done there. What are you going to do with him? And he gave the team a choice.
Maybe somebody sponsored Jason and gave the school $10,000 and he could let him play.
What if?
Let's know more.
I don't know a whole lot more, quite frankly. No, your conversations are fascinating because, in fact, what you're getting.
You don't have an answer.
There is no one answer. You're expecting a veridical response from me. I'm not going to give you one because there isn't one. There isn't one, and it's uncomfortable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're expecting, Carl, tell me what you think. So you're doing what your students expect from you. Tell me what you think. What if I just said, okay, thanks for your input, and I walked away? You wouldn't stop thinking about it, would you? Because it's disturbed you a little bit, because the whole perspective of there are no leaders in here, it was the coach, it was the school, puts leadership in a not always clear perspective. Leadership is not well defined. It's conditional. And leaders are not, we in society have put leaders in positions where we think, okay, that's the CEO, the company fails, fire the CEO. Everything's going to be better, and rarely isn't, unless the new CEO is a person who shapes the conditions and works the environment in a different series of processes than the former. But oftentimes, it's not the CEO who's the issue. It becomes a figurehead who gets cut for protocols and things like that. In a situation like this, leadership had multiple layers and intersections. In some ways, yes, he personally was not a leader. However, as a result, he has become a leader because he's been accepted as a spokesperson for autism and dealing with autism. How does one deal with a family and autism? So he has emerged as a leader of something that has nothing to do with basketball. The other key point to the coach, where my eyes tends to go, is because the coach in this leadership position had to make a decision at a point in time that was risky. What if he bombed it? What if he missed every frickin' shot? What if he tripped and fell or embarrassed himself? We would have had a hope. You would have never seen it on CNN. But as a leader, he took the risk. And one of the key points for today is sometimes when you take the risk, that's a very difficult point in time, most often, with kids particularly, in this business. Sometimes glorious things happen that would have never been known about unless you took the risk. He hit three-pointers from all over the gym. Think about the opposing team. Obviously, they laid back and let him shoot, right? So, the story behind the story is this was an end-of-the-year game. The game was pretty much over. It didn't matter for anybody. The coaches had an agreement that if, in fact, he gets in, the team would allow him a chance to shoot. So it was a no, there was nothing on the table in terms of competition. It was, does this team, does this community come together to support this young man who hasn't had a whole lot of positive things? Let me step aside from that and share two very brief movie themes for you. As I mentioned to you earlier, I'm a bit of a Star Trek fan. And it's the movie Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. At the end of the movie, Mr. Spock, the Vulcan, half human, half Vulcan, has to enter the engine chamber of the ship because it's about to explode. There's radiation everywhere. He's sealed in this room. He opens up the chamber and he saves the ship, but in the process, he damages his physiology to the point where he's dying. So pressed up against the glass, dying, sliding down the glass, dying in this chamber full with radiation. Kirk, his friend, speaks to him through a speaker and says, Spock, why did you do this? Why did you jeopardize your life for this? And he said, because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. So that was a perspective. The next movie, when Spock's coffin is found and he has emerged on a planet named Genesis, and he comes alive as a baby and a little boy through rapid growth, and he gets back to his home planet on Vulcan, he has to get back to Vulcan. So Kirk and his small band of Banshees crew steal a warrior ship and break all the rules to get him back to Vulcan, where he has to go through a mind meld and become back to what he once was. And at the end of the movie, Spock, in a hooded, veiled, confused state, sees Kirk and he sort of recognizes him, and he said, why did you do this? Now, Spock speaking to Kirk, why did you do this? And Kirk said, because the needs of the one outweighed the needs of the many.
Oh, that's a good writing.
And leadership is all about that. It's about determining what's important. What do I need to risk, sacrifice, shift, gamble? Because not much of it's guaranteed, especially when you're dealing with human. So one of my hopeful points for today with you is that however you define leadership, it's just a moving target. It's never the same way twice. And that's what makes it fascinating, enjoyable, and extraordinarily difficult, all bundled into one. You know? And so assuming a leadership position, saying, okay, you're in charge, is a hierarchical structure that we tend to be used to. Oh, she's the boss. This man. Okay? This man, gotcha. But when leadership lines cross and they move from person or groups, in a moment, I think Keith's quiet and everybody think about that. The community in some way was a leader because they influenced that coach. So there were multiple types of leadership going on in any one point. So you're exactly right. There really was no clear cut leader. So if I left you in a state of confusion, that was completely intentional. Gotta love it. So it's like, well, how does it tie? This was the end of my slide. I just love that.
Oh, my Red Wings.
There you go.
No, yes, the thing.
Let's take 10 minutes. Once you stand and stretch, give your brain a break. Get some water. Water is good for you, by the way.